When you ask Anti-Gravity, Gemini CLI, Claude Code, Cursor, or any other agent to add a sign-in screen to your application, the agent has to rely on its foundation model, or it has to burn tokens trying to read up on all of the documentation to try to get you that right answer. But what if your agent could get the right answer right away? We released agent skills for Firebase to do exactly that. And you can get started with them right away by running npx skills add Firebase/agent-skills to install them into any popular agentic coding platform. But before I jump into doing that, let's take a step back. What are agent skills? Now, this can sound intimidating when people are using terms like progressive disclosure to describe what's going on with an agent skill, but it's not that complicated. It's just fun to say, progressive disclosure. Try it for yourself. The next time you go to a family get-together and your doctor cousin is talking about intestinal borborygmi or something like that, you can say, well, I've been using a lot of progressive disclosure lately. It's fun. Don't let it scare you. Agent skills are instructions. They're just text that you can give to your AI agent to help them understand something better. Instead of a long poetic analogy, let's just build one together. So where agent skills really shine is when the base model doesn't already have the information. So before I add any additional information, if I ask Gemini CLI, what's Luke's favorite dessert? It won't have the answer. It doesn't know. It doesn't have that information in its context. So it has to get that information from somewhere else. The way we used to fix this was to have massive documentation files with all of that relevant context. So I've created a Luke's favorites.md file and added a list of my favorite things, complete with backstory and exquisite detail around how I came to love those things. Quick note, this file was generated by Gemini, so please don't purchase my birthday presents based on the guidance of this file. I don't want it to be awkward if you buy me a planet and you show up with Jupiter and I seem ungrateful because it's like, I don't know what to do with a gas giant. Where am I going to put this thing? So now that I have this file, and when I ask what's Luke's favorite dessert, I can explicitly tell Gemini CLI to look in this file for the answer. And that will include the entire file in context. And that's great because now I get the right answer. And this is a successful solution. The downside is that I've used over 20,000 tokens to do that because it brought in all of the information about all of my favorite things in order to answer the question about dessert. So instead, you might be thinking, what if we took each of these categories and broke it into a separate file? That way, Gemini CLI would only add the specific information that it needs in order to answer that exact question. And that is exactly the idea behind agent skills. So I start by creating a folder called skills inside of a .agents folder. This is where all of my agent skills will live. So I add a new Luke skill folder with a skill.md file that explains what this skill does. It doesn't contain all of the information that we had in the Luke's favorites.md file. It's just an overview of what sort of information you can get from this skill. This part at the top is YAML front matter. And again, it's just an overview. Don't let the word scare you. YAML front matter. It's just formatted text to let the agent know what sort of information they could expect if they go to this agent skills folder. The important part is that this YAML front matter is the only thing that the agent needs to read into context when it starts up. And if it needs more information, it can go and get it. These descriptions need very few tokens. As the agent works, it can decide to activate the skill when it's presented with a task. If the skill isn't used, it won't use up any additional tokens. If your agent does use the skill, unlike our previous example, it doesn't consume all of the documentation at once. Your agent can keep reading more of the reference documentation bit by bit until it has the information it needs to complete the task. That way, it only uses what it needs to use. And that's the important part about agent skills. If the agent decides it wants to use the agent skills for Luke's favorites, that's when it reads the full skill.md file. That's where it learns about the desserts.md file, and then it goes to learn that brownies are my favorite dessert. Bit by bit, it slowly retrieves more information about the task at hand. The fancy term for this is progressive disclosure. But what you and I care about is that now when we ask what's Luke's favorite dessert, we're using 12,000 tokens instead of 20,000 tokens. Now, no matter how many of you are coming to my birthday party on Jupiter, I admit a Luke skill isn't particularly useful in the course of software development. But if you're building and deploying full stack applications, the agent skills for Firebase are incredibly useful. These skills provide your favorite agents the knowledge needed to build applications the right way on the first try. So let's put that to the test. Here I have two agents. The one on the left is using agent skills for Firebase. The one on the right is not. I'm going to give them both the same prompt. I'm going to have them make a full stack to-do application with a Firestore database. After a few minutes, they both successfully create their to-do applications. Now I tell both of them to deploy this application to Firebase app hosting. Now both of the agents successfully deploy the application, but the agent with agent skills for Firebase correctly deployed to Firebase app hosting, while the other agent deployed to Firebase hosting. You can see that in the URLs for the deployed applications. uscentral1.hosted.app means we've deployed to Firebase app hosting. Firebaseapp.com means we've deployed to Firebase hosting. I was eventually able to coach both agents to deploy to Firebase app hosting, but the agent with agent skills was able to pick up on that nuance right away. Firebase app hosting is newer than Firebase hosting, so my guess is that there's a lot more information on the web about Firebase hosting than Firebase app hosting. So I would guess that most base models lean toward technologies that have been around for longer. If you're using newer technologies, agent skills can make a big difference in getting the right answer right away. So in addition to using fewer tokens, hopefully you're getting more correct answers on your very first try when you're using agent skills. Give agent skills for Firebase a try and let us know what you think in the comments. We'll be adding new skills to the list over the next few weeks, and we want to know how they're working for you in your own projects. Whether it's anti-gravity, Gemini CLI, Claude Code, Cursor, or any other AI agent, I hope you're able to add that sign-in screen.